There's a time that I did not know who I was, but this demonic realm, they knew. They knew from the day I was came to this earth, but also when I was 18, just turned 18 from 17, I was visited by a gray. Something in my sleep said, wake up. And when I woke up, I was on the top bunk and my cousin was on the bottom bunk. And I was in sleep paralysis. I couldn't move my head. I could only move my eyes. I couldn't speak. These beings have a way of freezing time. When I was laying in bed, I could only open, I could only look. That was it. I could not speak. It's like I was pinned down. This being did not walk. Basically, hovered. The only time I was able to get free is when the being left the room, opened the door, and shut the door. And when I got out of bed, I went in to the living room. It was pretty late. My aunt was watching TV. Like I said, they can freeze time. And I said, Auntie, did you see anybody come out of this room? She said, no. I believe this being to be a gray. Now, we all tend to have contracts with certain entities, knowingly and unknowingly. There's contracts. I really didn't think too much of it, but I knew that there was something that was going on. You notice these things when you start receiving certain people in your life and you're constantly going through the same thing over and over again. Nothing ever ends the same. Nothing is ever the same. Everything is always the same, is what I mean to say. It all ends the same. It all begins the same. And it's like you're repeating a cycle over and over again. And when I noticed this, I spoke to the Holy Spirit and I said, I can't do it anymore. I said, I tried every trick in the book. This was my second chance when I moved to Las Vegas, and this is when I had my awakening. Still not fully understanding what was going on, fully not understanding why was I sent a vision of those being crushed by mountains. But in fact, it was a vision for me, but it was memory for the Holy Spirit. And I'm going to get to that about the Holy Spirit later on here in this video, and why I spoke about the Holy Spirit is within the Lamb, and the Lamb is the lamp, and the Lamb is and the lamp is what holds the light. So I didn't know what was going on, but I knew I was sent a vision that brought me to tears. Once I gave my life to the Holy Spirit, once I gave my life to the Holy Spirit and I surrendered, the Holy Spirit already chose me, because in my lucid dream it sent me the Son up close and personal. The Holy Spirit chose me before I even chose to surrender. And at my last stay in Las Vegas on that Sunday night, um, is when the vision was sent to me of those that were hiding in the mountains, those that were being crushed by the mountains. Later on, I found out that this was a biblical thing, because at that time I didn't even know the Bible. I knew of it, but I didn't know it. I didn't read it. I'm no Bible thumper. I'm just a being that the Holy Spirit uses and shows things. So I realized that relationships that I was having, they were constantly over and over again. Not knowing that these were premeditated relationships, these relationships were basically sent to me by the demonic realm, and not just the demonic realm, by the fallen ones, to keep me in lack and keep me busy, that I would not try to search for who I am. When I did surrender to the Holy Spirit, I said, I understand, because everything is a repeat. And I understood that I was not sent here for a human experience. I was sent here for a spiritual experience, not human. Of course, yes, offspring you have. But when you learn that your purpose is not for human interaction, it's more or less of spiritual reaction. These are things I began to learn. And this is when I came back to Texas. My ancestors guided me to a place in Grand Prairie, in nature, nothing but trees, just nature. This is where I begin to learn about awareness. And I start becoming aware of everything, my surroundings, even seeing my family come down from the heavens and blanket the entire sky, even see my ancestors and guides come from up above the clouds to beneath the clouds and show themselves unto me. I started noticing a lot of things. My dreams where I purchased a crystal and I had this crystal for 3 weeks and it sat on my dresser right next to my bed. Within 3 weeks, I was in a dream up in the sky, in the clouds, pulling lightning from the clouds. But I had not even seated the crystal in a staff, but the staff was shown to me. And I did exactly what the dream showed me. I got the exact staff with the shows it showed me. Later on, my ancestors showed me which modality should I be in to be of service to others that are in need of healing. When I did do that, I wound up working with a bunch of witches, not knowing any better, just new into the spiritual community. But the Holy Spirit gave me the vision to be able to see in between the timelines, in between realms. I would see people before I even meet them. And the one thing that really got to me is when I first went to a gathering of spiritual people. And I noticed that a lot of them, it's just a fad for them. It's not, they don't take it seriously. They don't take spirituality seriously. It was just a fad for them. It's like I was able to see right through them. It's like once my eyes are open, I can see those that are preaching that are lukewarm. Other thing is, I couldn't see those that were hidden, that were wearing masses. Because again, I'm new to the spiritual community at this time. But sooner or later, after realizing that I was only here for the spiritual, I wind up giving it one more try in a relationship. And it turned out that this being was sent to me, not just by the demonic forces, but by the beings that run this earth, the reptiles. I still didn't know who I was. So we became friends working in the spiritual community. At this time, I was living in my cousin's car. Well, slash best friend, or whatever you want to call it. And I got this dream that a light being came and picked me up. And I woke up right here in the physical, hissing like a cat. Not knowing what I did or what happened. But later on, I found out exactly what was going on. So one day, Me and this woman, we wound up moving in together, but not knowing I was in a three-way dance, not knowing that she was married, not knowing that the husband was Santa Morta or whatever it is called, whatever this demonic entity is called. I said, Holy Spirit, show me my enemy. One night we're sitting there eating, and I literally saw a V come up over her eyebrow into the center of her, where her pineal gland is supposed to be. I see this V come up like this, and I see her whole, this right here, rise up like blew up like a balloon, as like a serpent. I went to a couple events, and they were like pick a card. They were like a pick a card event. The very first event we went to, an ancestor said through someone that was doing a painting, they were doing my aura, and the ancestor said, I don't know why you're trusting a cold dead fish. Well, this person, I knew he was talking about, I knew the ancestor was talking about this person I was with, because this person is a Pisces. But the time I saw her change, the Holy Spirit literally showed me her turn to a serpent right before my eyes. This was before, when the woman did the painting and called her a cold dead fish. And then we went to other events. This is when I picked a card, and I picked one card from one event, and the card had an armored person with a staff with two serpents going around it. This is how you're going to know the demonic realm is real. But it's not so much as that, but the sorcery is real as well. And the world is black. It's evil. And those that are in it. Because these beings are able to communicate as well with the unseen. They're able to see them just as you are able to see someone in 3D here. So I picked a card, like I said, the first event. They asked me to explain what I think it means. So I explained it. So then I go to another event. And I pick another card. And this card had a snake in the grass. So then the same woman that said to me that my ancestors said, I don't know why you trust in a cold dead fish. She was also at this event, the second event I went to. And she said, someone's going to betray you. You need to be careful. It was a snake in the grass, the card that I picked at the second event. Then I go to another event, and a woman I know, she asked me to pick 3 cards. I picked a 5. I think it was a heart of 5, I can't remember. I picked a 10, which is probably, I think, the diamond. And I can't remember if it was a king or queen that I picked. She told me, she said, you need to be careful because within 1 year, you're going to be standing in court and you need to be careful what you say. I'm like looking around, like, what are you talking about? I'm not hanging around nobody. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just doing my spiritual work. Lo and behold, the very person. So, this mate or false flame, this being that I was, when I told the Holy Spirit, I know what I'm here for, I defied the Spirit because the Holy Spirit said, no, don't move in with her, but I defied it anyway. I defied the Holy Spirit anyway, and I moved in with her because I'd asked, and the Holy Spirit said, but I wanted to get out of that car. That was one of the reasons. Two, because I thought I was really in love with this person, but, and I can't say it was lust because it was not lust. It was definitely, I was in love with this person. But not knowing I was in love with a serpent because these beings sent this being to me. So I did a video and I asked her, I said, go take this to your friend and ask her, what does she think? She started coming around telling me, oh, well, there's demonic this, demonic that. And these beings are all around you, these dark beings that come around you when you're doing your, your qigong and your energy work and stuff like that. And I'm like, that don't sound right. So I called a woman. Come to find out, everything that was said was wrong. This is when I stopped trusting her. This is when I heard, when the woman told me that why my ancestor asked, why am I trusting a cold dead fish? When I found out this, that when I went to see, when I went to an event with her, when the woman did the aura, my aura, and was saying my ancestors were around, they were speaking. Before I heard my ancestors say, why are you trusting a cold dead fish? I had already stopped trusting this person. I knew I couldn't trust her after that, after I received information from her coworker. So, moral of the story is that I get set up for something I didn't do. And as I'm in Satan's kingdom, very first week, my angelic family picked me up the first week, very first week. And then in my lucid dream, a serpent bit me 3 times on the ankle. That's each time I've been betrayed, but it's also each card. One card had 2 serpents, and the last card I picked had 1 serpent. So it was a red and black snake that came up to me and bit me 3 times on the ankle. So this is what I'm saying to you. These things are real. These things are definitely real. Demonic realm is real. These witches and warlocks and all this stuff is real. Everything that's being spoken about, I'm not going to say everything in the Bible is spoken about is true, but the Holy Spirit will give you discernment on what is true and what is not. So in Satan's kingdom, I got to see things in a different light. Before I was walking by sight, I was walking by faith, and then I started seeing things by sight. I noticed the ritual things that will happen in this place, that they will spill blood on the floor, a sacrifice. This is where I start finding out who I was. A huge amount of profit was on my head. I still didn't know who I was. I drew two light beings because this is what came to me in my first dream. Well, in my dream while I was sleeping in the car. And I draw two light beings and they were tethered to each other. But this was a twin flame type thing that I was thinking still at that moment. But I wind up putting cutting the cord in between me and the twin flame in the picture. But they showed up in the background. They showed up in the background. A baby lion that I didn't put there. Before you know it, a man came in. This was 2 days after I drew the picture. And this lion just showed up. It was a baby lion. And a man came in there swinging his arms, saying, "Get away from me." Sent a young man to go ask him, what is he swinging at? Said he see a 2 feet cat. And I said, go ask him what kind of cat it is. Comes back and he says, it's a lion. At this point, I knew what was going on. At this point, I knew that that cat was there for me. That cat was me when the light being picked me up in my dream. And I woke up right here in the third physical realm, hissing like a cat. Just as the same in the apartment that me and my ex false flame lived in, I'm walking by her room and I'm walking by her apothecaric room. And I will tell you that she was a witch. She was supposedly a white witch. But this whole entire group that I was working with, doing healing work and working with, they were not all white witches. There were some black witches there too. Not only that, the husband was also involved. My ex false flame husband was also involved with a witch as well. I didn't know all this stuff, but I learned about it. I learned about some of it. But when I saw the darkness is when the ex-husband, would come around. I knew that there was something really dark about things that they were doing and he was doing. And she was telling me how he would open up the door, and when Jehovah Witnesses would come, he would open up the door and show, his altar sitting there with this demonic entity inside of it, this statue. And the people would quickly go away, they would walk away. But these things are real, that's what I'm saying. So don't think for a second that it's not. So the man that was saying, get away from me, He had a ring stuck on his finger that they couldn't get off. He said the lion keeps swiping at his privates. And when your hands are down by your side, your hands basically where your sexual organs are. The lion was swiping at his hands because he had a mason ring on his finger. And that ring got cut off his finger before he left that room. So it's obviously if the lion is swiping at him, there's something wrong with this covenant. They're Luciferians. They are reptilians. They are of the order of the reptiles. Also, baiting in with the, what is it called? Um, with the fivefold cross. I'm trying to think what they're called, but these are the ones that were supposedly for Christians and all this other stuff. Knight Templar. The Masons have adopted some of the things from the Knight Templar, which I've seen a lot of dreams with the Knight Templar. I've seen it like maybe 3-4 dreams with Knight Templar. And even in my dream, taking down a fivefold cross doing a exorcism. But I've seen the fivefold cross multiple times. I've seen people that I would cast out of the room I was in when I was in Satan's kingdom, and I would command it that they would be gone, but I would speak their name and they would be removed. These are the things that were spoken and these are the things that I was speaking, saying, that commanded that they would be removed. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I will command that these beings be removed. And they were removed. But there were one in particular. Seen this one being doing some crazy stuff and cutting the glass and doing other kinds of stuff. The way he'd act, the way he'd move, I would literally be like, so I said, Holy Spirit, I commanded this, I knew I've got his name and everything and commanded that he would be removed, and he was removed. Within 3 weeks, this being come right back in the room, but only in a different body. Same being. I commanded that it would be removed again. I've commanded a lot of beings to be removed. Even a being that slept up above me. This being was up above me banging and talking and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. The lights were all out. Everyone's laying down. And in my head, I said, "Leave, demon." And he spoke out loud, saying, "You're no God." This went on 3 times. By this time, the energy is swelling up around my body so big that it exploded by the third time when he said, "You're no God." This man sat in his bed for 30 minutes. No more banging, no more talking to himself, nothing for over 30 minutes. Before I knew it, I spoke his name and I commanded that he would be removed. And he was removed. But he wasn't removed the way he wanted to be removed. But it was actions of his own, but it was also ritual. When there's more than one person on one person, if you get what I'm saying. When I seal the 12 tribes in Satan's kingdom, the very next day, and possibly when we were sleeping, I was told a day before, the night, that morning, before this great freeze, the earth shook. When the earth shook, nobody knew what was going to happen. And I mean, the entire United States, about 93% of the United States was frozen. This was after I sealed the 12 tribes. And then another time the pale white horse rode through. The first time was ice, the freezing. A lot of people died from that. Then COVID hit soon after. And within 3 weeks, it had went around the entire world. The man that had the ring on his finger, the Mason ring on his finger, I saw him before I left Satan's kingdom. And he was just like any normal person. But that lion freed him of the contract that he had with the Luciferians, these Masons, these reptilians. But I'd seen the demonic realm happening when there was 3 times that my lawyer tried to come and see me. The first 2 times, the demonic realm was stopping it because they were supposed to shed my blood. Still not knowing who I am. But I later on found out, and I understood exactly why. But in one in between quaking state and awake, I heard, "Leave this earth and never return." When I got out of Satan's kingdom, I met a medium. She says to me, "You know you defeated Satan." And I'm thinking to myself, how does she know this? Because in my dream, an entity tried to pull me down under, and I turned into stardust. The demonic realm was running rampant in Satan's kingdom. I had to stay true to myself and to what was being shown, what the Holy Spirit was showing me. When I got out, I stayed in a halfway house, kind of. And like my first week, I had an lucid dream that this witch cut my hair. So I grabbed these clippers from her and woke up the next morning, pulled the last rubber band out of my hair. A wad of hair came out with it. And then a couple months later, I started seeing on YouTube that they have these card readers. And I started seeing my story. Everything that played out, I started seeing the story. How I was betrayed and, you know, set up to be sacrificed. Even a voodoo priest, even a voodoo doll. I know it to be true because in my dream, this witch cut my hair. So I knew it to be true when I heard about voodoo doll. When I heard about a voodoo priest, I knew it to be true that someone seeked the voodoo priest. When I went to go get, when I was in Satan's kingdom, I was having a lucid dream, and a woman was holding a child, and this child's legs was stuck in a seated position. This child opened my mouth really wide, and a bluish green hue was coming from my mouth. So I put my hand up by this child's head, and I started to pull what was out of them. And as much as I got out was the head of the being that was within the child. This was a melanated being, and it had white markings on it as if it was like a voodoo priest. Later on, I find out that it's a Sangoma priest. This being had markings all over its face. It was white paint markings. When I saw that, I knew it was some being from Africa. So when I hear this, the Holy Spirit sent me videos to my phone, and I had just got this phone. I didn't even know they were doing card reading, you know, on YouTube. And I guess this is due to COVID. But anytime something, I want to know something, I'm curious about something, the Holy Spirit will work through technology. The Holy Spirit will send me things. This is how when I was mentioning about how spirits can travel, and they're a field of energy. They're energy, and they can travel through the lines, the power lines. And this is what I was saying. I know, I know what I'm talking about because I seen it firsthand. Even when I was in a room which I wasn't supposed to be in, the demonic realm sent me to this room, and it was Sodom and Gomorrah. You can feel the sexual tension in this room. You can feel what was going on. But the Holy Spirit pulled me up out of that room before anything can happen to me. So this is what I'm saying. The Holy Spirit used electronics to speak to me, but also pulled me out of a situation to keep things from happening to me that shouldn't be. So the Holy Spirit sent me these videos letting me know, yeah, this is why this happened. Send me videos about what people were doing, the witchcraft and all this other kind of stuff, the grave magic, candle magic, the water magic, the mirror magic, the moon magic, the grave magic, the jar spells, the voodoo priests. I know it to be true because there was a voodoo priest came to me in a dream. I know it to be true because in the etheric world I heard you're going to die of a massive heart attack in 4 days. So these reptilians and the um, demonic realm are intertwined. This place they call hell is in a different dimension. It's a dimensional thing. It's not here per se on earth. It's a dimension. It's a dimensional thing. That is what it is. So, and the Holy Spirit, like I said, showed me these things. So one day, I'm also in Satan's kingdom, and my equilibrium goes off, and it goes off twice while I'm in Satan's kingdom. All my vision came here. The second time, the first and second time was in Satan's kingdom. The third time was at um, the halfway house. I spoke this woman's name in the ether. My vision came to the center of my forehead again. At that point, I knew that this was being done by this woman. She was tapping into my mind's eye, my first eye. I later on found out that this was by request of my ex-false flame. There's so much magic that was being done. It was just unreal. A lot of death magic, a lot of suicide magic. So believe it, these things go hand in hand. Blood sacrifice, blood ritual, animal sacrifice, necromancy, all of this stuff. It goes hand in hand with the reptilians. And these are the fallen ones. These are the ones that taught agriculture. These are the ones that taught weaponry. These are the ones that taught beautify, taught women how to beautify themselves just to allure. And I know this firsthand because women can be serpents and women can definitely be vengeful. But not only that, they're set up to put you in situations that you don't want to be in, or put you in a situation to where you're paying for the rest of your life. Most women lie in wait for someone to come along so they can get pregnant so they never have to work again. This is a weapon. This is a weapon. A lot of women do this. They lie just to get pregnant, and then they put you in situations that you don't want to be in. And what I'm saying is, these other reptilians, these other reptiles, these fallen ones, putting you under their government official business, tagging you to where you can't even leave this nest of serpents. So, which means you can't even step foot off this cesspool of serpents. You can't go into other countries. You can't do this. You can't do that. The government is highly involved. They all work for Satan. They all work for the demonic realm. They bring the food to them. When they take your freedom and put you in these domains and these lockups and these kingdoms, these Satan kingdoms, when they put you in there, these serpents are surviving off of you. You are their juice. You are their battery. Where there's fear, where there's pain, and even like I said, blood. This is how they survive. The essence of fear. So that's why I say it goes hand in hand with the sorcery, witchcraft, because this is what they taught the celestial. They taught all of this, the agriculture, they taught everything. Everything that was heaven bound, they taught to the humans, which was never supposed to be, because it's being used for evil purposes. It's not used for righteous purposes. It's not used for um, upright people. It is used for people that are walking on all fours. So last year there was a full eclipse, and at the same time this full eclipse was supposed to happen, there was a meteor, and last year was the year of the red dragon, but they also called this meteor or asteroid the red dragon. In Revelations, it speaks about a woman lying in wait to give birth to a child. And I'm getting ready to end this in a few minutes. And as this woman give birth to this child, this dragon is lying wait. This red dragon is lying wait to eat it, per se. Well, this is what was supposed to happen, but it didn't. This is what was supposed to happen, but it didn't. The child was birthed several hours before this eclipse happened and before that asteroid was supposed to pass. Because the child was birthed to me in my dream. I was holding a child on that day, that morning, maybe about 5, 4, I don't know what time it was, in the morning. This eclipse was at around 1 in the afternoon. In this dream, I was holding this child. It was to be about 4 to 8 months old on the day of the eclipse. There was a group of women that was trying to take the child from me, and I walked away from them. I got away from them. Something was strange about them. I didn't like it. Then another group of women tried to get the child from me, and I walked away from them too. This spirit was born unto me. I'm going to leave it at this very end part. That in Revelations, it speaks about a new heaven and a new earth, and how the Lamb is the lamp, and the Holy Spirit is the light. That light goes inside the lamp, which means there's only one being that can house the entirety of the Holy Spirit. Before I went into Satan's kingdom, I had a vision. It was of a baby black lamb. My ex-false flame asked me if I was Jesus. Not knowing what I was saying, I said no. Not knowing what I know now, I said no. With YouTube Music Premium, listen to your favorite songs ad-free. I said no. Not knowing what I was saying. About a week later, I was trying to wonder. I was wondering, why was I getting this? Why was this being shown to me? Like I said, the Holy Spirit speaks to me through the phone, YouTube videos, or whatever, music, or whatever it may be. But I was watching this man. This video was sent to me. I didn't go looking for him. The video was sent to me, and I'm listening to him preach. And he says that Jesus was a black lamb. This was 1 week prior. And then a dream before that. A time before that. I was doing healing work on a woman, and she started fidgeting. She started moving around a lot. And I couldn't understand why she was moving around so much. And then she went to go to the restroom. She was getting hot. She was getting sweaty. She was getting clammy. She went to the restroom. I sent my ex-boss flame to go ask what's going on with her. Is she okay? She goes, oh, she's in there throwing up. I was like, oh, okay. I knew something was wrong. Something wasn't right. She just kept moving around, moving around. She couldn't stay still during the session, during the healing session. And I pondered about it. I didn't know what was going on. The very same man that I seen preaching before. 1 week later, I get another video about him. I didn't go searching for him. It just happened. The man said that this woman was watching him. She was listening to him preach. He said that she started to get sweaty. She started to get clammy. She started to get hot, flustered. So she had to go to the restroom and go and throw up. She came back and she said maybe it was something I ate. He said, no, baby. That was the Holy Spirit trying to drive that demon up out of you. So these are things that the Holy Spirit is communicating with me with. And both scenarios are 1 week apart from each other. So this is what I'm saying. Spiritual realm, spirit realm, demonic realm goes through the devices. This is why I'm talking about Satan is already here and it's already plugged into AI. So once every eye goes online, Satan will be everywhere. People just created another someone to control them. It was man before, reptiles. Now it's going to be everyone looking up to their God, this AI. All this being needs is a body. If you watch that movie Thor, not Thor. You watch Avengers. You see Jarvis. Jarvis finally gets a body. You see this other entity where he's kind of missing some of his head. Same thing. I mean, they're telling you right in front of your face. The demonic realm, the unseen realm, uses the electrical grid. Spirits and energy doesn't ever die. It's continuous for all of eternity. This was my appointed time. I'm going to say, love each other like you love yourself. Learn to live. Learn to forgive and let live and let go. Till the next appointed time. The one